Great. Welcome everyone, and thank you for helping the American Legion celebrate Memorial Day. This is a national holiday in remembrance of our, not a day to celebrate, but a day to remember our war dead. Not just those who made it home, but the missing in action, and also those who are buried at sea, who made the ultimate sacrifice so we can enjoy the freedoms and liberties of America. The Post would appreciate at the end of the program if you would not retrieve the brass from my rifles because they're hot and we do reuse those. I'd like to start off with a quote from President Ronald Reagan. There's a special sadness that accompanies the death of a serviceman. When they gave us, what they gave us is beyond our power to repay. So when a serviceman dies, all we can do is remember. Most of them were boys when they died. They gave up two lives, the one that they were living and the one that they would have lived. They gave up the chance to be husbands, fathers, grandfathers, and revered old men. What they gave up everything for our country, for us. We owe them a debt we could never repay. All we can do is remember them and why they had to be so brave for us. Our prayer today will be offered by American Legion Sergeant at Arms Robert DeLuca.
I just got to speak into the mic a little bit closer, okay?
Thank you.
Heavenly Father, on this Memorial Day, we pause to remember and honor the brave men and women who gave their lives in service to our nation. As we celebrate 250 years of freedom and independence, we give thanks for their courage, sacrifice, and the lasting peace they helped secure. May we honor memory by living with gratitude, faith, and dedication to the ideas for which they fought. Amen.
At this time, we'd like, is that better? Okay.
I hear you.
At this time, we'd like Gold Star families. Do we have Gold Star family members? If you do, please come up and join us, and the seats provided here. And also at this time, we'd like to extend an invitation to all of our veterans who are here. If you'd please come and join us in these chairs to our left here, so we can honor you and recognize you for your service. Thank you all for your service, and we'd like to welcome home our Vietnam veterans. We invite everyone to please stand, remove cover, and place your hand over your heart. So the veterans will invite y'all to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll be led by our Post Armor Martin Clements.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for the singing of our national anthem by quarter time. Can you come up, please?
Say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. On the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you. Thank you. You now may be seated. That was beautiful. Thank you, ladies. We will now have a patriotic poem by American Post member Ron Ulberg.
250 years seems like a long time, but to the world it's a drop in the bucket. How did we get here? It all started with others seeking a better life, more opportunities for themselves and for their families. I can only imagine how difficult a decision it was for our ancestors to leave the lands that they were from and venture into the unknown. But that did happen in all of our families. But when those great pioneers arrived here, things of the past seemed to follow many of them, and the restrictions and limitations were still haunting them. Then there were those individuals with courage and fortitude to do something about it. We often think and talk about our founding fathers, but they were not alone. How about their parents who instilled a sense of right and wrong in them and the courage to stand up? How about their spouses and loved ones who supported them in their ventures and their willingness to put themselves in harm's way? Because of those courageous and dedicated individuals, we are a part of a new nation. But how do we keep it? I, like many of you, have a long history of ancestors in this country. My 11th great-grandparents arrived on the Mayflower. My wife's ancestors were in colonial Jamestown, and everything in between. I have family that have been in every major battle ever waged in the United States, from the Revolutionary War to the one we're currently engaged. America's veterans represent many of the qualities and virtues that make America great. We look to veterans as examples of bravery, honor, sacrifice, and service to our country. Whether they distinguish themselves while defending our country on the battlefield or serve during peacetime, veterans are heroes because of their selfless service to our nation. These are people who felt a duty to serve our country and chose to enlist in the armed forces to protect our freedoms. In this way, all veterans are heroes. And while some veterans are famous for their accomplishments in the military, the rest are equally important for their accomplishments in life. So many veterans have gone on to become teachers, pastors, police officers, or business owners. These everyday heroes deserve recognition and remembrance for their extraordinary service to us and our country, which is why it's so important that we be thankful for them and for their service. It's easy to get caught up and focus on generals and war heroes. These people are important and we should honor them, but they're only part of what keeps us safe. Anyone who has served to defend our freedom is a hero in their own right. No matter how, where, or when a veteran served, they chose to make a great sacrifice for the rest of us. Veterans represent all of the things that make America great. They stand for freedom, sacrifice for freedom, and for the hope of the American dream. Being willing to serve and defend our people's freedom is heroic. And that's why we should honor them on this Memorial Day for those who have gone on before us, and on Veterans Day for those who are still with us, and every day as we enjoy the freedoms and blessings that they have sacrificed for.
Thank you, Ron. We'll now have a brief message from Harriman City Council member Matt Basham.
Thank you for being here with us this morning in this place where gratitude is not just spoken, but it is felt. I would like to recognize with us here today Mayor Palmer, members of our City Council, Teddy Hodges and Tara Anderson, as well as I see Representative Candace Perucci with us, and Senator Dan McKay. And if I've missed anybody, my apologies. I'd also like to recognize members of our Unified Fire Authority and also our Harriman City Police Department. We would like to thank, we would like to thank our partners in our Memorial Day breakfast, Lee's Marketplace and All West Fiber, for their support. And I would like to thank the American Legion Post 140 for putting this program together for us. This year as a nation, we are standing at a remarkable threshold. America is approaching her 250th birthday. 250 years of self-governance. A bold American experiment built on the belief that ordinary people are capable of extraordinary freedom. 250 years of a republic that survived revolution and civil war, Cold Wars and world wars, strife and renewal. But that is no accident. That endurance has a cost, and that cost is why we are meeting here together. To the veterans among us, thank you for your willingness to step forward and put on the uniform and place yourself in harm's way. It is the foundation of every freedom that we enjoy. And to the families who stood behind them, the spouses who held everything together at home, the parents who watched their children deploy, the children who grew up counting the days until mom and dad came back. Your service is quieter, but it is real, and it does not go unrecognized. And then there are those among us carrying a different kind of weight. The families that received a knock at the door, a folded flag, and a moment that divided life into before and after. That love does not end there. It lives in every holiday gathering with an empty chair. It lives in the stories you tell, and the stories that sometimes you cannot bring yourself to share. It lives in the quiet moments when something so small, a song, a photograph, a smell, brings them all rushing back. We do not fully understand your loss, but we grieve, but you do not grieve alone, and we are eternally grateful. I've had the opportunity to spend some time in several national cemeteries. It might sound strange, but it is in these sacred places where I have felt the most grounded. A place that truly provides me a reset, where challenges I am going through or feelings in the moment are stripped away, and the only thing that I can feel is gratitude. There are places you stand in these cemeteries where all you see is rolling hills and rows of markers that seem to go on forever. As you walk, you are reading the stories of America, These are not the names of the famous or the powerful. These are the farmers and factory workers, the teachers and truck drivers, the craftsmen and the cooks, sons who had never left their hometowns, and daughters who answered the call that would take them to the other side of the world. They came from every corner of this country, from mountain towns and coastal cities, from the Great Plains to the Deep South, and from the valleys of Utah and from our city of Harriman. Some were even born in other nations and chose to make this one their own. Some spoke English as a second language. Some prayed in different dialects, but every one of them wore the same uniform and carried the same purpose: to keep the light of freedom burning for the rest of us. And then there are those whose names have no marker, the missing in action, those whose sacrifice was total in every sense. They too are part of this story. They are remembered here as surely as every name carved in marble. As we approach 250 years, it is worth pausing to ask, what does a country look like that was worth all of this sacrifice? The answer, I believe, is found not in any government building or in any speech, but in communities like our Harriman, in neighborhoods where kids ride their bikes and people know their neighbors, in churches, in schools, and Little League fields, the quiet, ordinary freedoms that we live every single day, to worship, to speak, to build a life of our own choosing. Those freedoms were not given, they were won, and they have been protected by the men and women we honor this morning. America 250. At 250 years, it's not a finished masterpiece. It's a living inheritance. Every generation receives it imperfect and incomplete. Every generation is charged with making it more worthy of those who died defending it. That is the truest form of memorial, not just to remember, but to be worthy of what was given. So this morning, as we stand on this ground, looking across these markers and these flags, let us do more than mourn the ones who have protected our freedom. Let us be grateful. Let us be resolved. Let us go home from this place a little more committed to one another, a little more grateful for the country we share, a little more determined to be worthy of the sacrifices that made it possible. To every service member laid to rest here among us, in this great nation, and across the world, we honor you, we remember you, and we are grateful for you. May God bless the families of our fallen heroes, and may we never forget the price of the freedom that we share.
Thank you, Councilman Basham. At this time, I'd like to share a couple of quotes that's applicable to our service today. One is by General Norman Schwarzkopf. Ordinary people may navigate their lives and locations on this planet in a studied ignorance about the evils surrounding them. But those who serve and have served in uniform know of evil's existence, its penalties, and cost. We intuitively understand that the only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing. Good men and women have carried our flag wherever something had to be done to make the world a better place. One more quote from General George Patton. It is wrong to mourn for those who have died. Rather, we should thank God such men lived. American Legion Post 140 Sergeant at Arms now Robert DeLuca will now honor the veterans interred in this cemetery by reading their names.
Good morning. Once again, it is my honor to read the names of these veterans who are laid here to rest in this beautiful cemetery. As I read these names, if I mispronounce any of them, let me apologize for now, for that's not my intentions. Adams, David Wayne, Anderson, Elma Davis, A.C. Donald, Barella, Mike R., Barlow, Edmund Owen, Buge, Christian Van, Bodell, H. Kent, Bodell, Ronald Merrill, Bolin, Melvin Ray, Bout, Ray, Bowden, George E. Bowen, John Cyril, Bowen, Vernon S. Bowles, Robert L. Butterfield, Elman Denley, Butterfield, Elman Parker, Butterfield, Boyd T. Butterfield, Clyde Warner, Butterfield, Douglas Rubin, Butterfield, George, Butterfield, Glenn Lamar, Butterfield, Herbert Williams, Butterfield, James Reed, Butterfield, James Richard, Butterfield, Lawrence Selma, Butterfield, Ross Willard, Butterfield, Samuel Huber, Butterfield, William Henry, Canova, Norman Ray, Carter, Ray L., Carter, Timothy Albert, Checketts, Cindy Marlowe, Chevalier, Donald Martell, Chevalier, Ronald Martell, Chitty, Leonard, Christensen, Claude A., Christensen, Roy S., Christensen, Frank Edward, Church, Jeff, Coles, Reed Leroy, Colton, Darwin W., Cooch, Bartlett Lindley, Coachman, Boyd Peter, Crane, Arthur Donald, Crane, Arthur W., Crane, Bruce N., Crane, James Lynn, Crane, John Stephen, Crook, Kent Douglas, Crosby, Henry William, Crump, Billy Glenn, Crump, Bob Glenn, Crump, Joseph Cal, Cutler, Daniel Wayne, Danzy, Arthur Hellman, Danzy, Clinton, Davidson, Ellen Gordon, Davis, Ronald Stewart, Davidson, Edson Arthur, Densley, Deloy, Densley, M.O.H., Derbyshire, Stephen Leslie, Eastman, Clarence O., Eastman, Kamara, Eastman, Kenneth Harvey, Eastman, Leo G., Edwards, Herbert B., Elkins, Chester Eldon, Ernst, Guy F., Ernst, Joseph Robert, Farley, Lyman Dell, Farwell, Wayne G., Flake, Dwayne Wendell, Foreman, Darrell Heber, Foreman, Delbert Ivan, Foreman, Alice G., Foreman, Julian J., Foreman, William Keith, Fredrickson, Oscar Hyman, Freeman, Gordon D., Freeman, Dean Woodruff, Freeman, J. Rubin, Freeman, Larry Odell, Freeman, Marlon Darwin, Freeman, Thomas Ray, Freeman, Virgin L., Gerke, Richard Clarence, Gibson, Andy, Grass, Samuel P., Hall, James Egger, Hamilton, Darrell E., Hancock, Jack Kent, Hanson, Ray R., Hardman, Larry Crump, Hogue, Roscoe, Horvath, Joseph D., Heyer, Paul Dennis, Ivy, Jim D., Jacobson, Dale Russell, Jeremiah, LRB, Jarrett, James Ray, Jensen, Donald Holmes, Jones, Joseph E., Jones, Stephen Darnold, Katalinki, Joseph Candido, Carras, Gary Leo, Kuzat, Melvin Alford, Labram, Jesse Leroy, Labram, Richard J., Lewis, Ford J., Lish, Raymond Arthur, Lopez, Alexander Pedro, Louder, Eldon Lewis, McGee, Lawrence Kelvin, Maynham, Carl Byron, Markoff, Harry Russell, Mascaro, Clayton Joseph, Mascaro, John T., Mariruco, Richard Lewis, McCanley, Harry, Meir, John Henry, Meir, McKay, Miller, Charles A., Miller, Clarence Earl, Miller, Dell E., Miller, Hiram E., Miller, James Eugene, Miller, Lewis, Millett, Norman Keith, Mitchell, Lamar Green, Mulholman, John Allen, Newman, Franklin J., Nelson, Ivan Reed, Nunley, Richard Dia, Owens, John Robert, Hart, Dwayne Earl, Perry, Everett Thompson, Perry, Raymond George, Peterson, Kenneth, Peterson, Scott Clark, Poor, Cecil Lowell, Poor, LeGrand C., Poplin, Milton Arrett, Powell, Richard Williams, Powell, Terry Donald, Pratt, Elma Ernie, Rasmussen, Fester Fitzgerald, Reese, Robert John, Ridgway, William T. Jr., Riley, William Patrick Jr., Roach, Leonard A., Roach, William Grant, Roberts, Dellen R., Roberts, Ray F., Rodella, Isaac Mack, Rubichet, James Chris, Rustin, Jesse Burrow, Sandifer, James Randall, Sandifer, Wayne E., Savage, Earl Savage, Simmons, Fred Martin, Sorensen, George Frederick, Sorensen, Ned W., Swartout, Wayne Harold, Tanner, Sherrill, Taylor, Clarence, Tempest, Blaine G., Tempest, Byron James, Thomas, William Brady, Upcraft, Jack Norman, Vodapitch, Robert M., Vodapitch, Tony, Walker, Richard D., Wallace, Ralph Dean, Wandale, Charles Williams, Wardell, Linwood A., White, David Virgil Jr., Wilcox, Roger Jane Williams, David McDonald, Wilson, William J. Yates, Linda Lee Fritz. Now, if there's any names that I read that I missed, just get a hold of Harriman City and they will take care of it. And once again, to our veterans over here, welcome home, boys.
Thank you, Bobby. Look at our flag. It does not fly because of the wind that moves it. It flies with the breath of each soldier who died protecting it. May God bless each and every one of you, and may God bless America. We will now salute our veterans. Drill Captain Kurt.
Rifle squad, attention! Port armed. Half right face. Ready. Aim. Fire! 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 Port armed. Half left face. Present arms. Final salute. Present arms. Order arms. Colors post.
This concludes our Memorial Day program. Thank you so much for helping us remember. Bill Captain Kurt.
Port arms. Right face. Left shoulder arms. Route step march.